A young boy was found abandoned in a cardboard box. No missing persons report. No one came forward. No one claimed it. For decades, investigators, they chased down leads, they interviewed witnesses, and they followed up with thousands of tips. Yet, the child's identity remained a mystery until 66 years later. But even after his name was finally discovered, one haunting question remained. Who put him there and why? The story behind the boy in the box. On a cold February day in 1957, a shocking discovery would launch one of the most famous investigations in American history. For generations, the victim would be known as only one name, the boy in a box. His face appeared on posters. His story spread across America. And for decades, detectives refused to give up. What began as a tragic discovery would become one of the longest running mysteries in criminal history. In the 1950s, the areas outside of Philadelphia was growing rapidly. New neighborhoods were appearing. Families were settling into quiet communities. It was the kind of place that people felt safe. But on February 25th, 1957, that sense of safety was shattered. A college student was driving near the wooded area in the Fox Chase section of Philadelphia. He noticed something unusual. A cardboard box was sitting off the side of the road. At first, he ignored it. Then curiosity got the better of him, so he returned. What he found would haunt investigators for decades. Inside the box was the body of a young boy. He appeared to be between 4 and 6 years old. He was malnourished. His body showed sign of physical abuse. His hair had recently been cut. The box itself had originally contained a bassinet sold by a local department store. Detectives immediately began asking questions. Who was this child? Where was his family? And why nobody reported him missing? These questions would become even more troubling as the investigation unfolded because despite widespread publicity, nobody identified him. Not his parents, not his relatives, not his neighbors. Nobody. Imagine that for a moment. A child disappears, his photograph is printed in the newspapers, his face is shown across the country, and still no one claims him. How could that happen? Police worked tirelessly. Thousands of leads poured in. Detectives distributed flyers nationwide. One famous poster featured the boy's image alongside sketches showing what he might still have looked like if he was alive. The case became a national obsession. Investigators followed every possible clue. The bassinet box, the blanket, the cap found nearby, the child's fingerprints. Nothing produced a definitive answer. Over time, theories emerged. Some believed he had been kidnapped. Others suspected abuse inside the home. A few investigators thought he may never have attended school or interacted much with society at all. That possibility was particularly disturbing. Could a child have lived almost entirely hidden from the outside world? In the 1960s, a woman known publicly as M came forward with a startling story. She claimed her abusive mother had purchased a young boy and had kept him in their home. According to her account, the child was frequently mistreated. She believed the boy eventually died after a violent incident. She even described the details that appeared consistent with aspects of the case. The story attracted significant attention. Some investigators considered it to be credible. Others found inconsistencies. No physical evidence ever fully confirmed the claim. To this day, it remains one of the most debated leads of the investigation. Was she telling the truth? Or was it a tragic coincidence? The answers remains uncertain. As years passed, technology improved. New detectives inherited the case. Old evidence was preserved and the files were reviewed repeatedly. Each new generation of investigators hoped that they would finally solve the mystery. Yet, the central question remained unanswered. Who was the boy? Without his identity, everything else became harder. You cannot fully understand what happened to someone if you do not know who they are. And so the case lingered for decades. One of America's most heartbreaking mysteries. Then came advances in forensic genealogy, the same techniques that helped identify cases and solve cold cases across the country now became available to investigators. Detectives extracted usable DNA. Genealogists began building family trees. Piece by piece, they worked backwards through generations. Finally, in December 2022, authorities made a stunning announcement. The boy had been identified. His name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. For 65 years, the world would know him only as the boy in the box. Now, finally, he had his name back. The announcement marked one of the most significant cold case identifications in American history. Investigators determined he was born in January 1953. For the first time, the victim was no longer anonymous. But the identification alone did not solve the crime. The discovery of Joseph's identity answered one question, but it immediately raised several more. Investigators eventually identified Joseph's biological parents through DNA and genealogical research. Both had passed away years earlier. Authorities also discovered that Joseph had living relatives and had half siblings who had never known they were connected to one of America's famous cold cases. But the identification did not reveal who was caring for Joseph in the years leading up to his death. In fact, one of the most troubling mysteries remains unsolved. If investigators know who his parents were, why did nobody report him missing? Some researchers believe Joseph may not have been living with either biological parent when he died. Others have suggested he may have been raised by relatives or another family. Decades later, there is still no definitive answer. And that means the most important question remains unanswered. Who is responsible for what happened to Joseph Augustus Zarelli? Today, the investigators know who the boy was, but they still do not know exactly how he died. They do not know who was responsible, and they do not know why anyone did not report him missing. Some answers have emerged. Others remain locked away in the past. Many individuals connected to the case are no longer alive. Potential witnesses are gone. Memories have faded. Evidence has been lost to time. Yet, investigators continue to pursue leads because identifying Joseph was never the final goal. Justice was. The Boy in a Box teaches several very powerful lessons. First, technology can revive investigations that once seemed possible to solve. And second, every victim deserves a name. For decades, investigators have refused to let this child become forgotten. And finally, persistence matters. Many detectives who worked on this case never lived to see the identification. Yet, their efforts laid the foundation for that breakthrough that eventually happened. One generation started the search, another one finished it. For 65 years, America knew him only as the boy in the box, a child without a name, a victim without answers. Today, we know he was Joseph Augustus Zarelli, but the mystery is not over. Someone knows what happened. Someone always knew. And that's why the case of the boy in the box remains one of the most haunting mysteries in American history. The identity was solved. The final clue might still be waiting.